Great. Oh, here we go. That's not good. Whatever that is not good.
If you mute that, it should be fine.
Whatever that is not good. What is this? Okay. Your phone.
It's still me. Is it? Oh, sorry. Sorry. Okay. Do not go on our page.
What do you think of the way it looks?
I like it.
Yeah?
I like the expo shout out.
I think we need more stuff.
We'll get more stuff. People should send us stuff for free.
Well, I don't know where it would go. Can't really hang stuff on a curtain.
We'll make like a little.
All right. 3, 2, 1. Hello, good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you may be. Thanks for coming back and joining us once again, even if it is by accident, and maybe you weren't planning on it, but it's happening. So just close your eyes. It'll all be over soon enough, and enjoy it. It's Hockey Primetime, back for a new season here on Sirius XM NHL Network Radio, and also streaming live at,
We're on Facebook.
Facebook Live.
Yes, we are on Facebook Live.
Okay, but not at hockeyprimetime.com right now.
Right now.
But you can get us on Facebook Live. Go hit us up there. Hockey Primetime's on Facebook. We've got about, I think we've got over 2,600 likes, but we would love to rack up a few more. And I would love it if you would like Hockey Primetime on Facebook. And check us out. You can see what we look like. Wave to the people. Hello, everybody. And thank you for joining us here. And it's the season premiere episode of the show. My name is Conor McKenna. I'm the host of the program. Laura Saba is here. She's the producer of the show. And we're with you every Saturday, one way or another, unless, something happens.
Right.
Like an emergency of some sort. I think so far the plan is for basically every single Saturday, whether it's here on Sirius XM NHL Network Radio, but always we're going to be on Facebook Live and at hockeyprimetime.com. And we can't wait to hang out with you all season long, talk a little hockey. Plenty of stuff going on as the season is right around the corner. The Montreal Canadiens are 0-6 no longer, picking up their first victory of the preseason yesterday. Now they're 1-6. Apparently there's panic in Montreal. I'm not familiar or aware of this panic, but that's what I keep hearing in the national media. We'll have more on that later on today. But how was everybody's summer? Did you have a good summer, Laura?
I did. I'm very excited to be back. I'm so happy that the hockey season is back and the radio show is back. But I did have a really good summer. It was extremely relaxing. And I went to the Maritimes. I know you're big on travel talk. My family and I went on a road trip to the Maritimes, and I would highly recommend it for anybody. It was, and especially in the summer, we were really lucky with the weather. It was beautiful. Everybody's so chill. The food is great. If you ever need to just really relax, just go to the Maritimes. Anywhere, everywhere, do that.
Very nice people out there.
Yes.
Definitely. The eating is very good. And I think chill is a good word to describe it for sure. I spent a summer living in Halifax and exploring that part of the country years ago. And so I know a little bit. I've been to PEI and I've driven through New Brunswick. But so what was the best thing?
We went whale watching.
Oh, wow.
We were in New Brunswick, in the Bay of Fundy, and we went whale watching. And it was one of those things where, you know, like they tell you they don't guarantee whale sightings, but they'll try, and then you can come back. But we saw so many, like we just happened to really luck out, and it was one of those moments in my life which I didn't expect to be so emotional about it, but it's just a really cool experience.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. I've done the closest thing I've done is dolphins years and years and years ago,
awesome too.
Which was pretty cool. Porpoises and dolphins. That's good. Well, I'm glad that you got to explore the country a little bit. Canada's amazing. It's something I thought this summer. I was like, you know what? I've been lucky enough to see a lot of this country, but I know that my girlfriend hasn't. She's been everywhere. She's been all over the world. She's traveled a lot, but she really doesn't know Canada all that well. So this next summer, the goal is we're going to explore, I think specifically we're going to explore our province. We're going to explore Quebec, do Gaspésie and stuff like that. I had a pretty good summer too, and I did a little traveling of my own. The real highlight though was actually just happened recently. I got some really big news. I've been chosen to have the 280 character limit on Twitter. So this is massive for me. It's just really, really big. And I'd just like to take an opportunity to thank everybody who's stuck with me over, you know, all these years. My mom, my dad, my sisters, Amanda, and really, I mean, everybody else back home. Just really thank you for that. I don't know what to do with it. Lately I feel uninspired to fill 140 characters. So 280 is difficult.
It's a lot.
So far, I've used it to crack 2 jokes. That's all I've done so far. But you know what? Happy birthday to us! It's today we are celebrating our 10th anniversary at Hockey Primetime. 10th anniversary, and we're celebrating with a special promo code on the NHL shop. You want to get 15% off? You can use the Hockey Primetime 15% off promo code and buy some gear for your favorite hockey team. Or maybe you have a friend who's a fan of another hockey team. Whatever it is that you want to do, we can hook you up with a little bit of a discount there to celebrate our 10-year anniversary at the NHL shop. But we're also streaming live at Facebook Live. That's a new initiative. We've got the webcam set up here in the Hockey Primetime studio. I feel like it looks like we're in like a magical kind of place here. If I'm looking at the screen, the lighting is very white. It's very bright all around us here. So I don't know if I'm going to have to adjust and maybe start wearing darker colors or something like this, because I don't know. We look like I don't know what it is that we look like angels or something. It's strange.
It's like an Instagram filter.
Maybe sort of. Sure. Yeah. And yeah. So anyway, check us out. You can see what we look like, and we're on Facebook Live. We're going to be doing this every Saturday all year long. So even if somehow something gets in the way and the show doesn't happen on Sirius XM NHL Network Radio, we will still be broadcasting to you live on Facebook Live, rain or shine. I guess presumably unless the power goes out at the Hockey Primetime studio. Other than that, or if somebody has the sniffles, other than that, we will be with you every single Saturday. More to come too. This isn't it. We have other exciting announcements to come that we will be announcing as the season approaches. So make sure to stay tuned to the Hockey Primetime Twitter page, like us on Facebook, and stay tuned to this space for more information about what should be a really exciting 10th anniversary season for this show, Hockey Primetime. How did the off season go, Laura? The off season?
Eventful.
Eventful, you thought?
I thought so. I mean, we're in the preseason right now, and you kind of forget it wasn't that long. It was a couple of months, right? But there were a lot of changes. I'm actually, very curious to see how some certain teams do this season. And I know we're going to talk about it with our guests coming up, but I'm very curious about Arizona, for example. Vegas is the big question mark. A lot of people are predicting it's not going to be.
What's the question mark for Vegas exactly? Will they be worse than the Avalanche?
Right. That's pretty much it. The question with Vegas seems to be how bad will they be? And then there's a few people here and there that said they could win some games if they're in a division where it's possible that they could But I don't think that Vegas is going to do very well, but I would like them to. It would be nice for them to build a fan base. And that's
I don't think they want to do well.
You think they want to tank and get a good pick?
Look, if I'm running the show in Vegas, my plan is to be bad, not just this year, but for the next 2 years probably. Stock up on draft picks. They've already done that. They're going to load up, and then they got to find a way to really do a good job and hope that the guys that they draft and develop turn out to be players. They're not going to be. You can't be. How could you possibly be good for the first couple of years, and it's a really tough ask for an expansion team. And I think as a general manager, you have the luxury of at the very least a couple of years to build the team and be terrible.
Right.
If your owner is here, like, listen, we better be competing for a playoff spot this year, you're like, oh man, like I better rent and not buy here in Vegas, because that's a huge ask. It's hard enough to make the playoffs in the NHL when you have 3-4 years to sort of get ready and try to gear up for it, let alone starting with nothing. So that was one of the stories for sure. And the way that it went in the offseason. I was trying to think, like, what was the headline from the NHL's offseason this year? Think about last year. We had massive trades, right? There was the Shea Weber PK Subban trade, huge. There was the will he or won't he with Steven Stamkos, and there was the Taylor Hall trade as well. Those were all massive moments. This year, well, what's the biggest thing? Was it again Marc Bergevin acquiring Jonathan Drouin? Might have been the biggest trade that happened.
Right. If you think of in terms of the skill that was exchanged, definitely. In terms of the impact the player is going to have on the lineup, I would say yes.
All right. I'm going to give you a multiple choice question. Okay. Which was the biggest headline of the NHL's offseason 2017 edition? The Leafs get Patrick Marleau. The Habs get Jonathan Drouin. The New York Rangers get Kevin Shattenkirk. Or Donald Trump acquires the Pittsburgh Penguins.
Oh, wow. It's definitely the last one.
You think it is?
Yes,
because
that reverberated through it is the precious, but that did reverberate through other realms and not just hockey.
Yeah.
It was other sports, it was politics, it was, even social equality. That is a big story.
Right.
In terms of on-ice movement, though, Patrick Marleau is pretty big, but I also think that the Leafs know they're really good, whereas the Habs,
the Leafs know they're really good. They lost in the first round of the playoffs, just like the Habs.
They're going to be really good
this year.
Possibly. I don't think that they're going to win the Stanley Cup, but they're definitely going to challenge like a lot of teams, right?
Well, I like the Leafs. I do find the fans to be becoming already a little bit insufferable, though. It's like I just look. They've got a really nice team. I'd be excited too, and I've been on the record a long time saying this is great. The Leafs being a good team is great for hockey. It's great for hockey in this country. It's great for the media covering hockey in this country. It's a good thing. But, geez, look at the Leafs fans going, oh, the Habs are 0-6. No. We got them right. They came back. They beat them with their AHL caliber lineup in a preseason game the other night. Everybody's excited about that. I saw in 1050, TSN 1050 in Toronto, their question of the day is like, what are you more excited about? The Leafs' strong preseason or the fact that the Habs are 0-6? And it was the fact that the Habs are 0-6 was a 72% answer. And it was like, all right, guys, I think you're still thinking a little bit too much about the Canadians. Habs have beaten the Leafs like, I don't know, what is it, like 16 consecutive games right now?
Until the preseason, right. So in the regular season, it's 16.
Yes, the games that count, right? Let's not forget. And this is like the thing that's going on here. Well, again, something I want to talk about this hour, the preseason. I'm now, this is my 10th year covering hockey. And one thing it's taken me 10 years to figure out, do not ever make a big deal or care about the preseason. I don't care about the preseason. I just don't. Look, check out my Twitter feed. Like my takes are few and far between here. I'm not doing it anymore. And my new thing is, I'm not giving away my takes for free anymore. Not doing it. We'll see if it costs me Twitter followers, but I've been giving away far too many takes for free for far too long on Twitter. And sorry, fellow media members, you're going to have to get more original. All right. So for me, from a local standpoint, it's the Habs getting Drouin. The Pittsburgh Penguins doing what they did. When was that? It was last Sunday.
So it's only been 5 days.
And there's been a whole lot of stuff about this. And for me, it was just the thing that I don't understand about this. And I'm sure plenty of people listening are big supporters of the president. Plenty of people listening can't stand the president, and you're well within your rights to feel either way. I just don't understand why the Pittsburgh Penguins did that when they did it. That was the really sort of weird thing to me. Hey, you want to go to the White House? You go to the White House. But you don't need to sort of become a pawn in the political game that's being played out.
Right.
As Steph Curry and the Warriors are being disinvited and this guy's railing against the NFL, and you're coming out and saying, well, we're going. And then he gets to go and say, oh, the Pittsburgh Penguins, that's a great team. Yeah. And like already, you're playing into this guy's hands, and you can't pretend that it's not political. It's definitely political. Maybe it didn't used to be, but I think it was when Tim Thomas decided not to go. And by the same token, this is almost a bigger deal right now with how sort of inflammatory and divisive the rhetoric is when it comes to politics in the United States these days. But anyway, the Penguins go to the White House. Good for them. I'm sure they're going to have a great time. Lots of other exciting things happened this summer. The Leafs should be excited about Patrick Marleau. The Canadiens, I think, should probably not be excited about Carl Alsner. The New York Rangers, I'll tell you, based on my buddy's NHL franchise, the addition of Kevin Shattenkirk, not good. He's not fitting in. You know, I've mentioned this before. I have a buddy who buys the NHL every year, and then he plays the entire schedule basically with all the teams. Right? He picks all 30 teams. He plays the games. He simulates some games and whatever, but he plays a lot of games. Shattenkirk is not fitting in with the Rangers for some reason. He and his teammates are not clicking so far in the simulation. Now, they're only about 2 weeks into the season, so not a big deal yet. But Rangers fans, beware. And of course, I mean, I'm being serious. Like, that is a thing that's actually happening in my friend's PS4 NHL 18 thing. I'm not suggesting that that's anything that should be carried over to real life or taken very seriously.
I definitely think it was a good addition, though. I know we were talking about multiple choice. I think it's a really good addition for the playoffs for the Rangers. I don't know why. I feel like it's not a game changer for them. I don't think that they're going to win the Stanley Cup, but I do think that it's going to solidify a lot of the defense issues that they were having. And I do wish that the Canadiens were thinking like the Rangers.
It's just, and who knows, maybe there's no way Kevin Shattenkirk would have liked to play for the Canadiens to begin with. Right. Good chance of that, but it's amazing to me how far Shattenkirk's stock has fallen in the last calendar year, just based on the way things went at the end in St. Louis, especially the way things went for him on the Capitals, where he just couldn't catch a break, did not have a good playoffs for them, and his stock fell so hard. And now it's like Shattenkirk is thought of as, he's a third pairing guy. This guy's a good player. He's a good defenseman, and I think he's somebody who's really going to help out the Rangers. We'll see. I think maybe this is sort of it for the Rangers. Maybe one last push, one last ride with Henrik Lundqvist, Rick Nash, and all these guys that they have, and we'll see if they can keep the band together and maybe go on one last run. Lots of competition, even in that division. So coming up next, let's talk to Craig Custance. So Craig is he's got a new job, and he's got a new book. And we're going to tell you about both of those things. Craig's been in Detroit covering the Red Wings. He's been covering the National Hockey League at large for years and years and years now. We're going to find out what's going on with him, how his summer went. We'll find out about his new book, his new gig, and talk a little bit of Red Wings hockey. That's what's coming up next. A busy, busy show ahead. This is the season premiere edition of Hockey Primetime on SiriusXM, NHL Network Radio, and streaming live at hockeyprimetime.com. Dun, dun, dun. Boom, boom. Yeah. What happened?
I didn't say anything.
All right. So yeah, here we are, Facebook Live.
Thank you, Jesse.
Are people watching? I can't tell. If I turn my phone on, it creates feedback.
It's true.
So, hopefully we have some viewers here, but no, I'm not one of them. I can't spike our numbers,
It's echoing a little bit. But this is what we're going to be doing all season, and we want to do this to be able to connect with our fans, our listeners, our viewers now. And we really want you to be part of the show. So if you have questions for Conor, if you want to ask him, for example, for food recs, you could do it on the Facebook Live.
2 viewers, geez. And I'm one of them?
It's early.
Well, all right. 3, 2, 1. Hello, welcome back. It's a new edition of Hockey Primetime. Happy Saturday, or if you're listening to us on our podcast page at hockeyprimetime.com, then happy whatever day of the week it might happen to be as you're doing this. I hope you're having a good one. We got a nice sunny sort of fall day here in Montreal. And hockey season's right around the corner. The Habs will open up on the road. They'll be in Detroit. They'll be in Buffalo. I've got Detroit on the brain, though. Craig Custance is our next guest. He is with The Athletic in Detroit, and he also has a new book out. So let's find out about both of those things. Craig's new gig, Craig's new book, an exciting time here for Craig Custance of The Athletic. Hello, how are you? I'm doing well, man. I'm doing well. Congrats first of all on the new gig. Congrats on the new book. It's dropping tomorrow. Okay, and so it's already there. The ratings appear to be very good on Amazon. It's called Behind the Bench, Inside the Minds of Hockey's Greatest Coaches. So you can pre-order it right now. Tell me to start with about the book. What is the book? So who'd you talk to other than Hitchcock? I'm curious to know too, Craig, about that, exactly what you just referred to, evolving or growing as a coach. I would imagine that, especially if you reach the pinnacle, i.e. winning a Stanley Cup, that you got to, I mean, of course, you're feeling pretty good about yourself. You don't want to rest on your laurels by any stretch of the imagination. But I think about, let's say, Mike Sullivan, his first incarnation as an NHL head coach, and then the fact that it didn't really work out. And then he went back, right, and sort of almost reinvented himself, and I would imagine grew and changed quite a lot as a coach. How much of that goes on, do you think, with guys like Mike Babcock or Claude Julien, guys that have reached the pinnacle, but at the same time, it's been a couple of years since Mike Babcock won a Stanley Cup. We're now getting into a fairly long period of time since Claude Julien won a Stanley Cup. How much are those guys adapting and changing in this day and age. It was one of the most fascinating stories of last season was seeing sort of the different version of John Tortorella, and it seemed like what an interesting sort of contrast there was between the last two seasons, with everybody kind of piling onto him the year before, and many people sort of softening a little bit in terms of how he was perceived last season, and now here he is with coming in with some expectations this year. I think the Blue Jackets going to be one of the most fascinating teams to keep an eye on. So for hockey fans, for sure, the book is called "The Behind the Bench: Inside the Minds of Hockey's Greatest Coaches." So logically, you'd think if you're a hockey coach, a youth hockey coach, or hockey coach at any level as well, or even if you aspire perhaps to get into that, there's a lot of stuff in there for somebody like that, right? Huh. With Craig Custance, he's the editor-in-chief of The Athletic Detroit, also the author of Behind the Bench, Inside the Minds of Hockey's Greatest Coaches. You can order it right now on Amazon, and you can find it in bookstores as well. Let's talk a little bit about your the other new thing in your life. I know you spent a long time with ESPN. You left there months ago, and a lot of I think a lot of fans and people in the hockey world were sort of wondering, oh, where's Craig going to go? What's going to happen? Well, the announcement was, and it's now this is apparently where everybody's going. The Athletic is in Detroit, and already you've got some terrific writers with you, like Katie Strang, Chris Burke to write National Football League as well. Tell me a little bit about the new gig. And I guess when I subscribed, and I think it might have been when you announced, I guess I might have clicked the link through the Athletic Detroit website because I get the Athletic Weekly Detroit newsletter every week. That's the one that I get. And the thing is, it's and if for the uninitiated as well, if you're a subscriber, you get not only access to whichever article you clicked on when you first subscribed, you have access to every single one. So in the Bay Area, you've got some terrific writers like Tim Kawakami and Marcus Thompson covering the Golden State Warriors, the 49ers, and the Oakland Raiders, and well, for now anyway, and the other teams around there. And here in Canada, I mean, for hockey fans, and I guess that was the U.S. perspective. You mentioned Russo and Portsline and Rutherford. Well, in Canada, here in Montreal, we've got Arpin Basu, and he's assembled a terrific team both in French and English. James Myrtle's in Toronto, and in every market now in the National Hockey League in Canada, somebody is writing for the Athletic, and you have access to all of those. And well, the way things are going, you will probably have access to more stuff in the days and weeks to come. So very, very cool. And I know you're looking at the Red Wings. I'm sort of a longtime Red Wings fan whose enthusiasm has been dampened in the last couple of seasons. Craig, what do you think the expectation is for the Red Wings this year? And I guess, but at the same time, it's almost like if you're not going to make the playoffs, and this is me just sort of like parsing it totally, but if you're not going to make the playoffs, really what you want to do is be as bad as you possibly can. No, if we're really sort of thinking big picture here, and you can start to surround Dylan Larkin with the kind of guys that you'd want to see them be surrounded with, right? Henrik Zetterberg, by the time the Red Wings are contending again, I don't think he's going to be around anymore. That's all right after an amazing career. But Larkin, I think, is kind of a fascinating story because you'd like for Larkin to be maybe sort of a William Nylander type who has the Austin Matthews at his side, who has sort of some of other exciting young guys that are sort of coming up with him, but they still they're a couple of guys away from that, and those guys don't come every year either, right? It's not like if you bottom out, you're guaranteed to get your Austin Matthews. You could end up with Patrick Stefan just as easily as at the top of the draft, right? There's a little bit of luck involved. Yeah, I think that's legit. That's fair. Craig Custance is the author behind the bench. You can order it now on Amazon.com. Inside the Minds of hockey's greatest coaches. He's the editor-in-chief of The Athletic Detroit. If you're a sports fan in Detroit, if you're a hockey fan in general, subscribe to The Athletic and support a really, really cool thing that's happening in the world of sports journalism right now. Craig, thank you for your time. We appreciate it. Cheers. That's Craig Custance. Coming up next, we were talking Leafs. Let's do it a little bit more. Leafs fans are riding high. Confidence is certainly peaking right now. We've got tinfoil Stanley Cups up and down Yonge Street. Let's find out if this confidence is legit. What has to happen for the Leafs to make the next step this season? Kevin McGran of the Toronto Star covers the Leafs. He'll be with us on the other side to talk Toronto Maple Leafs hockey. This is Hockey Primetime on Sirius XM, NHL Network Radio, and the podcast at some point will be streaming live at hockeyprimetime.com. All right. So you're thinking I will talk Rangers with Jim Cerny?
Yeah, we could talk about Shattenkirk.
Shattenkirk.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, okay, but I mean, we need more than that.
We do. I mean, it's, you know, teams to watch in the East kind of thing, I think, because we could go west with Rob Ullman, okay, and east with him.
Cerny? Okay. That was me banging a pen on my teeth. Good noise, eh?
We're gonna have fun with it.
Yeah, it's for the people. It's for the people. All of them.
People getting to know Connor.
Could wear this scarf to spice things up a little bit. So no Kevin?
Yeah.
Three, two, one. Hey, it's Hockey Prime Time. I'm Conor McKenna. We are coming to you on Sirius XM NHL Network Radio. We're also streaming live at Facebook Live. On the Facebook, if ever there was an excuse to start a Facebook account, maybe you have one already. Most people do. Most people in the world have the Facebook.
I feel like you don't exist anymore if you don't have Facebook.
I got to tell you, I have it, but I basically never look at it and never use it. And it's great. It's fine. I find it to be incredibly unhealthy. But that's because I don't, I don't mean that you shouldn't use it. I mean, of course you should use it and check out our page and like our page. But just like the way that it's sort of substituted real life interaction, it's like there's a really good part and a really bad part. And the really good part is that you're able to stay in touch with people you care about that you would not ordinarily be able to stay in touch with. The really bad part is that I think it often sort of substitutes actual real life interactions with people that you care about. But anyway, like us on Facebook, watch our Facebook live feed, and we will be broadcasting our show every week on Facebook. Stop using it to stalk your ex. Start using it
to stalk us.
To stalk us. Hockey Primetime on Facebook. Give us a like. All right, let's talk Toronto Maple Leafs. Leafs fans are riding high. They got expectations this year. Let's try to answer some of the questions about the season ahead with Kevin McGran, who covers the Leafs for the Toronto Star. Hello, Kevin. I'm well, thanks. And how are you doing? Yeah, good. And here we go. The season is right around the corner. Expectations are high, as we were just talking about here, and the Leafs fans seem to be incredibly excited. Honestly, I don't know if I can recall fans being as excited in Toronto about a season in my life, and maybe that's a crazy thing to say, and I think it's sort of amplified a little bit by social media and the amount of coverage we get of the team. But what's your perspective on this? Have you felt a buzz like this before a season recently? Right, and I think they should be. I mean, who else? Who can boast of three forwards as young and as exciting as Mitch Marner, William Nylander, and what's the other guy's name? Oh yeah, Austin Matthews. Here's my next question. I watched Austin Matthews against the Canadiens the other night, and I felt like I think it was the second goal he scored. The first one where Al Montoya, he didn't handcuff him, because I think in order to handcuff a guy, the guy has to actually see the puck. He froze him, and Montoya had no idea what was going on. He's looking around, the puck's already in the net behind him. But the second goal, as he circles around the net, the puck is flying up in the air, and it just lands at Matthews' feet. And he doesn't even, he one-times the puck out of the air, wham, right into the back of the net, and doesn't even crack a smile as he sort of looks up directly at the camera after scoring the goal. I was like, man, that was like Austin Matthews in a nutshell. Right place, right time, great skill move, and completely cool as a cucumber in reacting to it. I can't wait to see what this guy does. I mean, is it 50 goals? Will the expectations be a factor? I feel like they won't be. But what about the other two guys? Which of the two, of William Nylander and Mitch Marner, who are both so good and probably in some ways don't get the credit that they may get in another market where they're not in Matthews' shadow, how good can those two guys be? How about, and I know this isn't something you can plan for, but they were so healthy last year, Kevin, and that's so important, and always has been in the National Hockey League, and I think was a big part of why they had the success that they did last year. How much of a worry, or is it something that's in the back of your mind or anybody's mind when you're thinking about, can any team stay as healthy as they seem to be able to do last year? Well, you know what? They could use a guy like Rasmus Dahlin on the blue line going forward either way. So, I mean, that would be a bit of a consolation prize, but it would be very disappointing. And you know what? I mean, that's who's that not true of? How many teams can you say they'd lose their number one goaltender and that they'd still be able to do anything at all? Right? That is always a big if for anybody. There's other guys that I'm curious about, and I do find this team to be a fascinating one. Morgan Riley's the next name. I remember Brian Burke famously saying, "Oh, we would have taken him first overall. This is the guy we wanted." And he's a heck of a player, highly entertaining to watch. I guess what I wonder is, in your eyes, how good can he be? What can he be? What will he be as he enters? I think sort of a big year in his career. Ryan Murray, I think, was second. Yeah, I think Galchenyuk too. I mean, he's got more goals or points, I think, than anybody else in that draft year. Although I know Marc Bergevin and Claude Julien don't seem to be very big fans of the guy, but count me among those who think he's all right. Huh. Yeah. Yeah, it does feel like he's being run out of town. I mean, the question is starting to become when, not if. But hey, that's another story for another day. Kevin, a pleasure as usual to check in with you, and I hope we can do it again soon. That's Kevin McGran from the Toronto Star. And speaking of Alex Galchenyuk and Marc Bergevin, I remember years ago talking to Rick Dudley, who was sort of the Marc Bergevin's right-hand man, and Dudley telling me in a moment of candor that I think the organization wasn't thrilled about afterwards, that they projected Galchenyuk as a point-a-game #1 center. And, well, now they seem to project him as the problem with whatever is going on with the team on or off the ice. Coming up next, let's talk a little bit about the importance of the preseason. Does the preseason matter? Some say yes. I say no. Is there panic in Montreal? Some say yes. I say no. This is Hockey Primetime on Sirius XM NHL Network Radio and streaming live at hockeyprimetime.com and Facebook Live. What does that mean? I don't know what that means.
He's watching us. Sorry, Jesse, how many minutes did you say we will have?
3.
Just over 2 minutes.
Over 2?
Just over 2 minutes.
That's fine.
Hard out at 58:20. I've missed the radio. I know you do it every day.
Yeah, this is different though.
I feel like we should have beers with it so that people can feel like they're sitting with us and talking hockey.
Well, we need to first of all, we could get people to sponsor us for something like that, be like, yes, but also we need more than 2 viewers,
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's what I was saying. People should send us stuff so that we can put it on the table.
Yeah, or pictures of their babies or stuff like
no,
that.
I meant free stuff.
Okay. Here's a lucky talisman I'm sending you. It's a rabbit's foot. Maybe not.
Maybe not. Oh yeah, I DM'd you the link for the Facebook Live if you don't mind retweeting it from your
sorry.
Tweet.
Yeah, I don't have my laptop is broken, so I don't have a laptop anymore.
So we'll plug in mine.
Well, I mean, I guess this technically would be considered a laptop.
Yeah, no, we can plug in mine and you can use it because I'm tweeting from my phone. So.
Uh-huh. Three, two, one. All right, final moments of hour number 1. This is Hockey Primetime. So listen, I know a lot of people, and there's been a lot of talk about this, the panic in Montreal over the 0-6 start to the preseason. I don't know. I mean, maybe it's just because like I'm not paying attention to stuff the way that I once was. I really didn't think it was a big deal. But maybe it's taken me time to do this in my career. I'm now about 10 years into it, and I've realized that the preseason doesn't matter. It means nothing. The Colorado Avalanche were the best team in the preseason last year. The Colorado Avalanche were one of the worst teams in NHL history in the modern era of the NHL this season. So don't put too much stock in the preseason, whether it's good or bad. And I don't think that there's really that much panic in Montreal. If there is something to worry about, it might be Alex Galchenyuk and what it sounds like, what the conversation sounds like, people talking about to Alex Galchenyuk and Marc Bergevin is saying negative things about him. Claude Julien is saying negative things about him. And it is starting to feel a little bit familiar when it comes to the organization maybe greasing the wheels and getting people ready for the guy to be shipped out of town. Whatever happened to going to bat for your star players, or whatever happened to not publicly criticizing your players, I don't know. I don't understand it. But I do think that it would be a mistake. I know I may have said things like this before. It can be a mistake to trade away arguably your most talented, at least your second most talented offensive player. My personal opinion is that it would be a mistake to do that, regardless of what team you are. Everybody needs more. You need more guys who can score goals, not less. It's important to score goals. That's actually the whole point of hockey. I know it's nice to play D and be a 200-foot player, but some guys are good enough offensively that you can put up with some shortcomings defensively. That's it for hour number one. Hour number two is right around the corner. It's Hockey Prime Time on Sirius XM NHL Network Radio. All right. All right, that's the end of the first hour. Thanks for joining us. I'll be back in a moment.
You can stare at me as I tweet on my phone. I'm gonna say off the top, just because we can work out any issues contacting him or whatever. Yeah, this is always that's how Connor likes to do it, and if Connor is not stressed, I'm not stressed. Awesome. Thank you. Any seconds.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
I see that chair is still there.
What chair?
That chair.
Yeah. It's not good.
No.
It's just a chair, you know?
It adds character to the room. Like, I mean, people can't see it on the Facebook Live, but the trunk and the chair really do add character.
Tie the room together?
They tie the room together.
More so than everything here. That's just the white nothingness.
The us.
I'm surprised how bright it is. Like, it didn't look like that before. Three, two, one. Hello, welcome to hour number 2. This is Hockey Primetime on Sirius XM NHL Network Radio. We're on Facebook Live. You can check us out, Hockey Primetime. Give us a like and check out the live video feed. That's me waving at you right now. Hi. Hockey Primetime Studios are located in Montreal. My name is Conor McKenna. The producer of the show is named Laura Sava. She's sitting here with me. And I got to tell you, I got a few things I feel like I got to do before hockey season starts on Wednesday. Actually, no, that's not true. There's one thing that I have to do before hockey season starts on Wednesday, and that is I have to watch Blade Runner. I haven't seen that movie in like at least 10 years. The new Denis Villeneuve Blade Runner, which I think I can say that as a Quebecer, I'm very proud that somebody who's from this neck of the woods was chosen to direct the sequel to one of the great science fiction movies of all time, is coming out on Thursday. That's the same day the Canadians open the season against the Sabres. So in a perfect world, I watched Blade Runner, the final cut, got it on Blu-ray, sitting on my coffee table right now. And then on Thursday afternoon, I go see Blade Runner 2049. And then Thursday evening, I'm watching the Canadians and Sabres open up the season. That's my current life goal. I don't set difficult goals for myself. I set attainable goals, things that I can definitely achieve, and that's what I'm currently dealing with right now. So we'll get into the hockey though. Well, Wednesday night the season opens for the National Hockey League at large, as the preseason sort of winds down. I think tonight. And is there maybe games tomorrow? Or is that it?
You know what? I'm not even sure because the Canadians are done. I know there's a Columbus-Pittsburgh game on Sirius XM NHL Network right now, like
right
after
now?
us.
Right okay, after. So as soon as we're done, that's going to be a pretty decent game.
Yeah.
That's going to be those Metro Division games are going to be good this season. They got a lot of really good teams in that division, maybe 5 playoff teams. Let's look at the Eastern Conference and take a look at the divisions, the teams, and think what we might be looking at this season. And joining us right now is Jim Cerny. He is with the Sporting News. Hello, Jim. Yeah, well, I love days like that. Listen, I work in morning radio, so I finish work at like 10:30 in the morning every day, and all my friends have normal jobs. So I have to come up with ways of filling the void of emptiness in my life. And listen, I'm not going to go to the gym, so I got to do something. You know what I mean? Right. Yeah, that's for the pro athletes to do. I'm just here to talk about sports. So let's talk a little bit about the Eastern Conference. I think you heard what I said just now. 5 Metro teams in the playoffs, maybe just 3 from the Atlantic. That's sort of how I see it breaking down. Curious for your perspective, how good is this Metropolitan Division? Could they send 5 teams to the playoffs? Okay, so let's talk a little bit more about the division specifically, because I got a few questions about some of these teams. Starting with the defending champs, no Marc-Andre Fleury, and I don't think many people have forgotten. It wasn't that long ago, but Matt Murray wasn't even the starter when the playoffs started this year. How do you think Matt Murray, and how big of a question mark is it that Matt Murray is now going to be asked to shoulder the load as a number one goaltender in the NHL over an 82-game season? Not something he's ever done before. Is that as significant a question mark as I think it is for the Penguins, at least in the regular season? Meanwhile, and you referred to this when we brought up the division earlier and the Capitals earlier, that it's impossible. How could you possibly make an argument that the Capitals this year on paper are better than the Capitals of a year ago? I mean, they lost a bunch of guys, significant guys. It's just, there's no argument really to be made there. However, what about this? The Washington Capitals, for the first time in what seems like a while, are coming into the season with lower expectations than they've had. And in fact, I might argue that they're coming into the season right now with the lowest expectations in the last 5 years or so. Could that be something that helps a team that seems at times, and has seemed at times, to crumble under the weight of expectations? We're talking about the Eastern Conference, and it seems maybe more specifically the Metropolitan Division with Jim Cerny of the Sporting News. And yeah, I don't know if there's a mind meld going on here, Jim. That's something. All right. Well, then next thing I wanted to do is and sort of stick with that division is to bring up the New York Rangers, where it does sort of feel like the end of an era. And I know this is a team that you followed closely for a long time, and I don't think it's over. Maybe it is though. Henrik Lundqvist and Rick Nash and some of the sort of the aging stars on this team, specifically Lundqvist, really. And then you do have some really good young players as well. And Matt Zuccarello's got a lot of good years ahead of him. I don't know if he's a young player, but you've also got Kevin Shattenkirk coming in. I like that move for them as well. So what about the Rangers this year? Is Henrik Lundqvist 1 year older? How can he be any better, right? Goalies don't keep getting better, do they, into their mid and sort of late 30s? So what's your feel for the Rangers going into this year? Jim, we're losing you here. At least on my end, I'm having some trouble hearing you. Can you hear me? We may have hit a bout of technical difficulties. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? All right. Well, listen, a lot of good stuff in there from Jim Cerny, and he's there, Jim. Oh, sorry, we lost you. We lost you as you were talking about Vigneault's comments at the beginning of training camp about how guys like Kreider and Miller are no longer young guys, not kids. All right. Well, it's going to be fun to watch. We got a couple of days to go until the games start meaning something on Wednesday night. Jim Cerny of the Sporting News. Thanks for making time for us today. Nice chatting with you. Cheers. There's Jim Cerny. I'm Conor McKenna. And yeah, coming up next, let's talk to Emily Kaplan. Emily will be joining us as our latest guest on the season premiere episode of Hockey Primetime. Emily is with ESPN as one of their national hockey writers, or their national hockey writer. And she's going to be joining us to talk about an interesting player survey she did. All the players that she talked to seem to agree on one thing. They don't seem happy that they're not going to Korea in January. No, not North Korea, South Korea for the Olympics. Nobody wants to go to North Korea. Emily is next, and we're talking hockey on Hockey Primetime on SiriusXM NHL Network Radio and streaming live at hockeyprimetime.com and Facebook Live. Ooh.
It seemed like cell reception. I don't think it was you, but thank you. I messaged you the link to the players changing the rule changes, so you can have it handy.
How much time here? What did he say when we went out? 2 minutes?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's always 2 minutes, he said, unless otherwise.
Okay. Oof, man, I got stomach ache. Do not feel well.
Like you ate something or you caught something?
I don't know.
Anxiety?
No.
No. Is it sudden?
Yeah. I'll be fine. Three, two, one. Hello, good afternoon. Ooh, very deep. Came in a little too hot there, I think. Hello. That's more like it.
It's more friendly.
I don't know. Laura's mic is off. Hold on. We got this.
I was just going to say that was a lot more friendly.
Hello.
Your second attempt was a lot more.
The first one was like, yeah, okay. I don't know what you think we're doing here, but it's not like that. No. Hello, good afternoon, and thanks for joining us here. It's Hockey Primetime on SiriusXM NHL Network Radio. We're live at hockeyprimetime.com. No, we're not. We're live on Facebook Live. We're working out some technical difficulties at hockeyprimetime.com. We should have the podcast up there at some point in the near future, and we are looking forward to a very exciting season ahead. Some really, really cool new things we're doing. Happy 10th birthday, Hockey Primetime, the website, and I've been doing this show for most of that time. I can't say exactly how many years it's been. Our next guest is with ESPN. She's been covering the National Football League for a long time. Last season, she made the switch to the sport that she has loved. I think, I don't want to speak out of class. I believe the sport that she's sort of always loved her whole life. She's covering the National Hockey League, the world of hockey for ESPN, although we'll not be covering Olympic hockey this year. And I think a lot of hockey writers and a lot of hockey players apparently are not exactly super happy about that. With more on that, Emily Kaplan of ESPN joins us. Emily, how goes it? Really? Right. Okay. Well, yeah, and it's only going to get colder, I suppose. But yeah, no, it's great, and very very happy that you're over there at ESPN. You guys, it seems like more people are joining in. I saw Chris Peters is with you guys. Chris is an old friend of the show and a terrific guy, so that's been really cool to see. And I'm sure there's some other exciting things on the horizon. But yeah, one of the things, and I saw this, I love this piece that you had out. I think it was this week, right? Talking to NHL players and asking them about things they might want to change in the NHL. And uniformly across the top, Jamie Benn, Tyler Seguin, Seth Jones, Erik Karlsson, Mark Scheifele speaking. And by the way, like, got some pretty big name guys here. Kevin Shatner, Chris Tanev. We would like to go to the Olympics. Each and every one of them a uniform in their responses. Was this basically unanimous to everyone you talked to? It is fascinating too, though, that the NFL, the league, and the sport that you spend years covering for Sports Illustrated and the Monday Morning Quarterback, yeah, I think does in some ways is similar to the National Hockey League in the sense of it seems to me at least that individuality is sort of discouraged in both leagues. That they, unlike the NBA, say for example, the NBA markets their stars, right? I'm watching ads for the NBA season. James Harden, they're marketing the super teams. There's James Harden with Chris Paul. There's Kevin Durant with Steph Curry. There's LeBron James, right? I mean, it's all about the individuals, and we're seeing. I mean, look at the money these guys are making now. The NBA is thriving. I'm curious to get your perspective on now having had a chance to cover both sports. And I know you spend more time on the NFL, but what do you make of the personality of hockey players and the individuality, especially as it compares to the NFL? Huh. Yeah, that is. I think that's fair, and I guess for every sort of Odell Beckham Jr., I guess you can have maybe sort of like a PK Subban in the National Hockey League. I guess it's more that I just yeah. Go ahead. And it's also very hockey that PK Subban came out unsolicited this week and said that he would not participate in any protest in any way, shape, or form. Like nobody even asked him, and he was like, "By the way, before anyone does ask me, no, there's no way I'm going to be doing that." Which I think might be more, yeah, exactly. Exactly, yes. And for sure the questions were going to come, but yeah, good for him. All right, other stuff that I know you talked to some of these guys, Emily, in your survey of players. A big question: what would you change? What rule would you change in the NHL? I love Tuukka Rask. I would bring the two-line pass back. Like, he's got to be the only person on the planet, and I guess that's how goalies think of it. Who wants to bring back the two-line pass, for God's sake? Let's see. So a defenseman and a goalie. And then both of them sort of said that about the game being prettier to watch, but it's like, oh my God, like, what do we want less breakaways? Oh, here comes a guy, he's breaking into the zone. It's a two-line pass. No, we're calling it off. It sounds like just instinctively, and I don't know the game like these guys do. It just sounds like the worst idea I've ever heard. Who did you enjoy speaking with the most in all your travels in covering NHL preseason and training camps? That's a great story. I love the player, and I remember seeing him play internationally and just being, this was like a thing. This was a theme on Hockey Primetime for years, was me talking to St. Louis guys of when's Tarasenko coming? When's Tarasenko coming? I want to see this guy. And that's really, really cool. All right, so that's something to look for at ESPN.com. I thought his quote that he gave you too was kind of fascinating about the rule changes, talking about how he's talking about icing. He wants icing to be European style, so that guys don't have to chase the puck. He says it's just boring, and it sort of sounds like a Russian guy talking. But the end of the quote, he goes, "If you don't do this, people on the TV will think you are lazy for no reason." It's interesting, isn't it, to think about this, because it's not something a lot of guys talk about or open up about. But it's like what people watching on TV think is on some level important, right? I can't wait to read it. All right, Emily Kaplan. I wish we had more time. So, what's your gig now? You're covering hockey for ESPN. So, are you going to be based in one place in particular? Are you going to be moving around? What are you expecting this season? All right, we'll try to find a cool story in Montreal, so we can hang out when you come up here. Okay, we'll we'll find a reason, and whatever it is, we'll figure something out. Thank you, Emily, and check out Emily's latest coming out on Monday on Vladimir Tarasenko feature on ESPN.com. Thank you. Cheers. That's Emily Kaplan. I love Tarasenko. Really one of my favorite players in the National Hockey League, and I'd love to know more about him. Those are all topics that I'm very, very interested in, the whole Russian stigma in the NHL. You know what? I mean, Russians got a pretty bad rep lately, especially in the United States with the whole hacking of the election and, all those things. But A lot of them really, really good people. Great personality, this Tarasenko kid. And really, I mean, he's as good as just about anybody in the league these days. As far as goal scorers go, I mean, there's not a lot of guys that can do it the way that Tarasenko can, and they're going to need him this season. The Blues right now, 3 of their top 9 forwards are injured as the season approaches. Terrible news on Robbie Fabry. What are they going to do? Apparently not get Jaromir Jagr. That appears to be one thing that's not going to be happening. Coming up next, we talked Eastern Conference with Jim Cerny. Let's talk Western Conference with Rob Volman. What's the Erik Karlsson injury situation mean for the Ottawa Senators, and how quickly do they need to get him back if they want to make the playoffs again this year? This is Hockey Primetime on Sirius XM NHL Radio and on Facebook Live.
That was a great segment.
Yeah, she's awesome. So they got Chris Peters.
Mm-hmm.
They're assembling writers again. So what? The guys were just making too much. Well, I guess we shouldn't talk about this. I know more than I'm allowed to say anyway, so we can't. We got to remember we're on the Facebook Live, and we have how many viewers do we have?
Oh, I'm so excited because I think I know the thing you know.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I do. I'm never in the loop, but yeah. So I think we don't have that many viewers on our first Facebook Live.
How many do we have?
I can't click on it because it keeps auto playing and then it's echoing.
Yeah, we're on the air right now, though.
But people are still watching. Our boss is definitely watching. But I think it's gonna be fun because when people know in advance, they can ask you your opinion on stuff and nicely, and we can chat. Like people can feel like they're getting to know you.
Right. So we can get the feed here and then mute it, right? Is that crazy?
I think so. I think we already muted the. Yeah, it should be.
Right. Yeah.
Connor is concentrating.
Well, what is this going on? Don't send me messages. Who is this guy? Three, two, one. Hello. It's Hockey Primetime. Nice to be with you on this lovely Sunday fall afternoon. It's starting to feel a little bit more like hockey weather. Man, we had a crazy September in the city of Montreal. We went 3 weeks straight. And to put this into context, this was, Laura, I mean, you could say, this is the worst summer that you've ever been in Montreal, hasn't it?
Weather-wise, definitely. It was a very miserable summer. It was cold, it was rainy, it was gray. We only got summer for about 4 days at the end of September. Yeah,
serious first world problems type deal here. But yes, we will now proceed to complain about this. That in Montreal, the weather's so bad in the winter. It's cold, it's miserable, it's snowy, it's slushy, it's bad. And then the summer comes, it's amazing. It's so nice in the summer. It's oh yeah, that's why we live here.
Right.
But April, May, June, July, August, every month, it was just wow. It rained. It never went more than 2 days without raining. And it rained all the time. And then September came and we got 20 days with no rain, sunshine, 30 degrees every day. It was amazing. And now I feel like we had a good summer. It's all about the last impression. You
Right.
Think about it's the same thing in hockey. Everybody's mad at Alex Galchenyuk. What's their last impression of Galchenyuk? Fourth line in the playoffs, and then maybe not having the best preseason ever for the Canadians so far. It's funny how the most recent impression will so often cloud your perception of something that you've been watching and experiencing for a long, long time. Anyway, with more on the National Hockey League, we've talked a lot about the Eastern Conference. I want to focus a little bit more on the Western Conference. Rob Volman is a hockey statistician. You can read his hockey abstract, his book Stat Shot as well. You can read him on ESPN, a busy man and a man who knows of what he speaks, at least I hope so, for our sake. Rob Volman, welcome back to the show. How you doing, man? I guess, I mean, specifically for our listeners outside of Montreal, the Montreal September, because maybe, you know, if you live in like Saskatoon, September was horrible. I have no idea, but I do know it was nice here. So Rob Volman, the Montreal September of statisticians. Perfect. How's the summer, man? Yeah, and I do wonder how much of a problem that's going to be for Galchenyuk here in Montreal. It's really extremely negative surrounding this guy right now, and everybody's ready to pile on. The general manager piled onto him at the golf tournament to open the Canadian season, and that sort of seemed to open the floodgates. And now it's just like, oh, PK Subban's gone, and well, maybe this is going to be the new guy. But we'll have to wait and see about that. Let's go down Highway 417. I wanted to start with the Ottawa Senators. For me, and I think he proved it in the playoffs last year, I think he's the best player, the best skater in the National Hockey League is Erik Karlsson. And then what he did in the playoffs was so amazing. Then listening to him talk this week, oh yeah, they removed half my ankle bone, yada yada yada. And Erik Karlsson, it looks like he's not going to be back for the opener, but he's going to be back soon. This has got to be amazing news for the Senators, isn't it? I think one of my favorite takes I saw this offseason was that Erik Karlsson's really going to struggle now that he doesn't have Marc Methot there to insulate him and to sort of protect him, which is just, I mean, I think my expectation, I'd be curious to know what yours is that Methot will in fact struggle a great deal. I think of Mike Komisarek when he was no longer playing with Andrei Markov here in Montreal. He went to Toronto, and within a couple of years he was out of the National Hockey League after looking really good. He was voted to the All-Star team one year as a member of the Canadians. I mean, how tough do you think it might be for Methot, and how much vindication might that be for some people to see that Karlsson will probably, I think we're expecting, is going to be able to sort of continue business as usual when Marc Methot's life's about to change? I think he just opened a restaurant in Prague. Yeah, and well, I mean, let's be honest. Maybe nobody does. Maybe two or three teams do, right? And it's amazing to see really sort of what this guy can do and how he does it. All right, so listen, there's a couple of other things I wanted to ask you about, and one of them is the Arizona Coyotes and what their general manager John Jake has been doing, what he did this offseason. I love the offseason that he's had. He really sort of seems to fly under the radar. I was really curious to know how this young guy who was going to enter this really sort of closed fraternity of NHL general managers was going to be able to do. And so far, I mean, I like the job that he's done. We'll see how it plays out on paper. But what do you make of the summer that John Jake has had? And fascinating too that you bring up the Demers thing and Jamie McGinn going the other way to Florida. Florida did kind of need a winger, fine, but Jason Demers, geez, I mean, this guy's a serviceable top four defenseman, and not a bad one in the National Hockey League. And a couple of years ago, you might have expected the Florida Panthers to be a team that might be making a move like that, but like the other way around, they'd be the ones acquiring Jason Demers. So what's your perspective on what's happened to the Florida Panthers and what's been just a completely bizarre 2 years of ups and downs? They won a division, they missed the playoffs, they fired the coach, they got rid of their general manager, they bring Dale Talon back in. Up and down they've gone and away and back to sort of like having a stats-based approach to what they're doing. So fascinated to get your perspective, Rob, on what's going on with the Panthers. Yeah, and so going into this year, because I think about the way that they looked with the Huberdeau, Barkov, Yager line a couple of years ago, and now they bring in Dadonov, who was presumably going to sort of take Yager's spot. Everyone's trying to go younger, faster, and I guess that's why Jaromir Yager is still sort of looking for a job right now, despite the fact that he remained fairly effective in the National Hockey League last year. And so what's your feeling on that with Yager and the fact that he doesn't have a job yet? Presumably, I think we heard he might play in Kladno over the weekend, and it appears that he's still open to returning to the National Hockey League. But what do you think? I mean, should he be in the NHL? And is it a mistake? Are teams making a mistake, especially those who are starved for some scoring, that they haven't brought him back? One more for you here. Another team that I think has taken a little bit of a numbers-based approach to try to level the playing field in the last few years is the Carolina Hurricanes. I think maybe still some question marks in goal there, but what do you make of them and their chances of maybe making the next step this year? Okay. All right. So, Rob, thank you for your time. We appreciate it, and we'll be keeping an eye on your work, and hopefully we can catch up with you again soon. Thanks, bud. That's Rob Volman, as you mentioned, at Rob Volman NHL on the Twitter, author of Hockey Abstract and Stat.
His book is called Stat Shot.
Stat Shot, Slapshot, Stat Shot. Got to keep things straight in my head. There's a lot of things happening here. Okay, and I'm trying. You can see, you can watch on Facebook Live. You see me at work. There's all kinds. Look at all these notes. I mean, I'm not just winging it. I swear to God. Here's what we're going to do next. I want to talk a little bit about the Montreal Canadiens, which we haven't done here. I want to talk about Marc Bergevin's big summer, the summer of Marc. How did it go? I will give you my perspective. That's what's coming up next year. This is Hockey Primetime on Sirius XM NHL Network Radio and streaming on Facebook Live. All right. Dun, 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 dun. Oh, yeah, it's a lot of time. Great.
It went by so quickly.
No, this does, doesn't it?
Yep.
Oh my God, nerd fight? What's going on here? Oh, that's bad. Why are they dressed like cows?
I have no idea what's going on there. Ooh, we should remind people.
I was watching a video of these guys fighting. I don't know. Crazy.
We should mention the promo code for the jerseys again that you mentioned off the top.
All right.
People wouldn't.
Okay. Yeah.
Can save money.
Okay. Where's the information? That's all I need. I don't know where.
You had it in your notes.
I don't have the actual website.
Okay, I got it.
NHLshop.hockeyprimetime.com. That's what it was. NHLshop.
It's Shop NHL. ShopNHL.hockeyprimetime.com. 15% off.
All right.
Why are they dressed like cows?
There's got to be a reason. Some sort of a college football thing.
Yeah, maybe like a Wisconsin school.
Could be. Sure.
Or Vermont or something. I don't know. Do they have college football in Vermont?
If they do, they're not good. Like, for sure, I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't. But 3, 2, 1. All right, the final segment of the show. This is Hockey Prime Time on Facebook Live, and we're also on the radio. Sirius XM NHL Network Radio. Nice to be back for another season of the show. We're looking to hang out with you pretty much every Saturday from here until right around the time that free agent frenzy starts on July 1. At which point, we're going to hang them up for a couple of months. But nice to be back with you again. And we've got some really exciting things planned this season at Hockey Primetime. Stay tuned. As we mentioned, we're now streaming the show live on Facebook Live. So maybe you're one of the people watching us right now. Whether you are or you aren't, if you want to do some shopping for a hockey season, now's a good time to tell you. Go to shopnhl.hockeyprimetime.com. Shopnhl.hockeyprimetime.com. And anything you buy will be 15% off. Go to that website, though, and we'll get you 15% off your next purchase. Get ready for the season. Whatever team you're going to be cheering for, feel free to let us know. You can find our Facebook page at Hockey Primetime on the Facebook. Click like and let us know where you're coming from, what you'd like to do. We're always happy to hear from listeners. You want to hear more content about a certain team, about a certain storyline in hockey, we're always happy to hear from you. And it's impossible, and that's one thing I've learned from this business in 10 years, it's impossible to please everyone. We can try our best to please as many people as possible, and we do appreciate your support. Let's talk about Marc Bergevin's big summer. There's a couple of things I wanted to talk about here and go through the timeline. I got about 2 minutes to do it, all right? So here's how it started. Late June. Started out great. Got Jonathan Drouin. Gave up your top prospect to do it. Okay, good. Jonathan Drouin's an amazing player. He's a star. Maybe he's going to be a superstar. Good stuff. Las Vegas took Alexei Emelin off your hands in the expansion draft. Wow, what a great piece of news. This is amazing. Oh, you want to reacquire Alexei Emelin? We're here. There's a report that you want to reacquire Alexei Emelin. Why would you do that? They just did you this massive favor taking that $4.1 million cap hit off your hand for a player who was not one of your 6 best defensemen. Anyway, thank God you didn't reacquire him. But then you threw big money and term at Carl Alzner, who is very close to being Alexei Emelin, a very similar player. Maybe he's a little bit better. I think the difference is not huge. I've talked to people around the league who say that they don't think Alzner is going to see out his contract with the Canadiens. There's a reason nobody wanted Carl Alzner. That's not where the league is going right now. You failed to retain Andrei Markov and Alexander Radulov. What happened, bro? What happened? Questions. In goal. Should Charlie Lindgren be the guy to back up Carey Price? I think he should be. Who plays with Shea Weber? Is it Jakub Jarabek? Maybe. And is Alex Galchenyuk going to get run out of town? I hope not. I want more guys like Alex Galchenyuk, not less. Anyway, that's all the time we have for this week. But it's been a fascinating couple of months, and it's a pleasure to be back with you to talk about everything that's going on every single week. We're going to keep doing it on Facebook Live. We're going to keep doing it here on SiriusXM NHL Network Radio, and we're going to start streaming it live at hockeyprimetime.com. Talk to you next week. Thanks, bud. Cheers.
The show?
Send me